Welcome to the Grande Prairie Seniors Reading Theatre Project to pay tribute to the late Mary Nutting and her book, A Grande Education, 100 Schools in the County of Grande Prairie, 1910 to 1960. This was compiled by Mary in 2010 in collaboration with South Peace Regional Archives Society. My name is Misha, and I'm presenting Somme School District number 3634. Somme School District 3634 was established March 15, 1918, for the Glen Leslie area, about 15 miles east of the village of Grande Prairie. World War I was still raging at the time, and the district was named for the Battle of the Somme, fought in France in 1916. Classes began in the Glen Leslie Presbyterian Church, a small log building which had been erected in 1915. Miss Marion Morrison was the teacher, and the students included young Alfred Wales, who was enrolled at 5 years of age to make up the number required to engage a teacher. Glen Leslie Church had been outfitted for the school with a painted wood blackboard, a teacher's desk, a small handbell, a few maps, a book cupboard with a few books, and a barrel stove. The church was a mile east of the Glen Leslie post office, and as teacher Bill Gutierrez recalled, perched on a barren, treeless knoll with not a flower or tree around, nor even a fence to enclose the yard. Inside, it was like hundreds of other tiny pioneer schools. The log walls were chinked with plaster, which was cracked and so tempting for youngsters to pick out. There were about half a dozen double desks for the students and a teacher's desk with a small row of textbooks and a bell on it. At the back of the room was a tiny book cupboard, half full of some well-read books, and even a few friendly mice. Beside the cupboard, a small washstand held a basin and a water pail. In the other back corner stood the barrel-like wood-burning stove. The walls were decorated with a few maps. Soon, there were 15 students up to 15 years of age. After 10 years of good student numbers, Somme School was built in 1928, 1/4 mile west of the church. It was much larger than the church and was built of lumber with 5 large windows on the east side. The fenced yard was big enough for a ball diamond, swings and a teeter-totter, a horse barn, and outhouses. Baseball was an important part of the school life, and sometimes a whole afternoon was taken to walk to a neighboring school, 6 to 8 miles, play ball, and walk back home. The school was not used extensively for social functions, since it was close to the Byzance and hall where most community functions were held. Somme School closed under consolidation in 1956, and students were bused to the new Harry Balfour School in Grande Prairie. The buildings were sold, and the school was renovated for a residence, but destroyed by a gas leak and fire before it could be lived in.